Greetings. This is Mike Jerry, aka Mike Talk a Lot, aka Negro Spiritual, aka Beautiful Mind, reporting at Worcester Daily News. And today we'll be covering the work stoppage, the strike. I'm not quite certain of the verbiage or language, but we're here with two of the frontline workers over at St. Vincent's. Introduce yourself, please.
Anita Veal. My name is Anita Veal, Veal, and I'm a PCA at St. Vincent Hospital for the past 15 years.
And I'm Lisa Jerry, and I've been a PCA at St. V's for 27 years. And I am on the union, the WFCW 1445, and we are committee meeting members of that meeting.
All right, let's get why we're here. The reason why we're here is to get folks driving by. We're seeing folks outside walking around the hospital with signs, and for most folks, we want to support the workers. We want to support the people at the bottom, working paycheck to paycheck. So give the folks a little bit more information when they pass by what they're seeing outside of St. Vincent's Hospital.
Well, today we are standing up not just for us, but also for the community, for the people that come into St. Vincent Hospital for our care. And right now, they're really not getting the proper care because we are understaffed. It's a continuous thing year-round. Every day we working understaffed, and it's not good for us. And it's not good for the patients that we take care of because they're not getting the quality care that they're supposed to get and they are used to getting.
What are the metrics when you say you're understaffed? What are the metrics to say, hey, we're understaffed? Is there a ratio?
Unfortunately, we have been working for almost 9 meetings with the committee for the hospital, the lawyers for the hospital at St. Vincent's, and they have refused on every occasion. They're not interested in ratios. Our problem is that we have been fighting since long before COVID. The ratio, and the problem is since 2006 when this contract originated, no one could have foreseen the epidemics that we are running into now, which is the COVID epidemic, the opioid epidemic, alcoholism, mental illness, homelessness, dementia, just to name a few. And these are the things that we're dealing with in the hospital now. So when it comes to it, we're just asking the hospital and their board members to give us ratios, and they keep telling us that they are not interested in the ratios because they want to utilize us at their convenience and what is appropriate for them. They're not on the floors. We're concerned about our patients in this hospital. This is one of the reasons why we decided to do informational picketing, which is what our union is doing. We are the backbones of CNAs, the housekeeper, laundry, all the OR techs, all these people who are the least paid on the pay scale. We are at the lowest of the pay scale. Even in the community right now, the other competitive hospitals are paying almost $7 more an hour than what we're getting. And for me, who've been there 27 years, some people have been there much longer, and the money that they're getting, it's not even comparable. So we just want the community to know, when you bring your loved ones, not that we're against St. V's, we're very dedicated because we could go somewhere else. And we decided to stay at St. V's with our dedication, but the hospital isn't giving the loyalty or even acknowledging that we are the backbone of the hospital that keeps it together. And this is why we're out here picketing, just so the community can know that we want safe staffing for our patients, not just to have lower numbers so we can have less patients, but safe staffing. There is a difference, and the hospital is not interested in that.
So that's actually a useful point of clarity. So it sounds like you're saying that this strike or the picketing isn't just because in the community, I had the thought that this was just about the nurses. This isn't just about nurses?
No.
So you want to say more about this? So it sounds like you say this is like the entire hospital staff.
Right.
All right. So, and it's mainly impacting disproportionately the lower paid.
Exactly.
Copy. All right. Okay. So when I asked about the ratio, and you spoke to not foreseeing the opioid epidemic and COVID and all those things, but don't those issues kind of come with the territory when you come into nursing or into healthcare, that you know that people are going to be sick, and then eventually over time things are going to happen, and then you will be faced with a heavy workload?
Well, you can't really oversee the future. And lately, these past few years, there has been a greater need for help because we are getting a larger amount of people with these issues, with this sickness from the community. So the care that they need is a little bit more extensive, intensive. And if you have, right now, when we say we need help because you work in one PCA, me, will have 11 patients to take care of by myself. That's in a very stressful situation because you have all kind of individuals, not just young, but also the elderly. And when you get the elderly, especially I work the night shift, they're confused at night. They're not at home. They're not in the environment. So they're confused and they want to get back home. So they're constantly trying to get out of bed. They want to go home. And a lot of times they fall because they're in a room without knowing where they're at. And if you have 11 patients and you're trying to take care of number 9, and number 11 is getting out of bed, you can't be with number 9 and be with 11 at the same time. So it's not only stressful for us, but it's also dangerous for the patients themselves.
And yes, that's a good point. You're saying that doesn't it come with the territory? Well, not really. That's kind of like with the hospital thing. Well, and that's what was told to us. This is what we signed up. Actually, no, it's not what we signed up for, because nobody could have foreseen the COVID epidemic that is taking. It takes almost 20 minutes to gown up for a COVID patient because you're in full gear, and then to go in and out of that room, where normally you would have never had to deal with that. So how could that, we have foreseen that to say that we don't need patient ratios? We're not asking for less. We just want the people to be safe. You have to be safe in this environment. People are falling. People, like she said, have dementia. People who have ETOH when they are alcoholism. People who are homeless. It's a lot of issues and a lot of factors that are going into our staffing and ratio. So if you don't have adequate, imagine on one day a PCA would have 23 patients. Imagine your loved one is in there, and maybe that your loved one needs to go to the bathroom, and then there's another Mr. Jones down the hall who has to go to the bathroom, or then there's someone else who needs water, or there's a dying patient. So now if you have 4 people who do you take care of first? Who becomes the priority? This is a safety issue that we are running into. We want our patients to be safe in the hospital. When they come to the hospital, it's a community hospital. They should feel safe when they come. When you drop off your loved one, don't you want to have the feeling that that person is taken care of well, especially with the COVID when there's no visiting, when you can come in and check on them? You want to feel like your patient, your family member that you left off at that hospital at St. V's is going to have adequate care. And it's not that we're not qualified. We just don't have the numbers. We don't have the numbers to be at everyone. We cannot get to everyone on time. And yet we're told when we go into a room when Mrs. Jones has been waiting 20 minutes to go to the bathroom because she had a hip replacement and she can't get out of bed, that we're told to tell them we're not short staffed. We have to let them know. It's depressing. I can give my own personal story about my mother who went into a hospital with COPD, and she was there 5 weeks because it was short staffed. She ended up, a woman who was continent ended up being incontinent, and I'm sorry to say that about my mother, but then she ended up with bed sores because they couldn't turn her free. These are domino effects of when you're short staffed. People can't get turned who can't move. So if you don't get turned, your body breaks down, and then you get bed sores. Would you want someone to be incontinent on themselves? It's just a bad domino effect. It's a personal effect, and we need the ratios and safe staffing. That's all we're asking for. Money is an issue, but ratio and patient safety is.
So bear with me. I'm not trying to be a wise ass, right? But here's the question. So when I say, doesn't it come with the territory, right? And I do understand not being able to foresee the future. So I guess what clarity I'm asking for is, if I work in a place and I say, hey, I shout out to the good people at Brew on the Grid down on 56 Franklin Street, Chef Terrell, Jen, amazing coffee. But if I come and I sign up for a gig here at the Brew, and then all of a sudden there's a huge influx in the city, and then my workload goes through the roof, am I supposed to say, hey, I didn't see this increase in workload coming, and now? So I guess what I'm saying is, what? So now that that you do have this onset of these different crises, what do you expect them to do?
We, you want to?
We expect to have help.
Hire more people.
Yes, we need them to hire more people. I don't think that the community realized that a lot of our workers that we had, for instance, on the floor that I work, 10 people left. 10 went to another hospital to work because the pay is better, the insurance is better. So those 10 people that are gone has not been replaced. So that means we are more work for us because they haven't been replaced, and the hospital don't seem to be interested in replacing them. And if they do replace them, they put out for hire just for 24 hours. That's just 3 days a week with very high insurance. Who wants to do that? Nobody can afford to work 3 days and pay insurance for someone that works 40 hours. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, that was my next question. So if those 10 folks left, and you ladies seem to be very knowledgeable and competent about how the system works, you have a ton of experience under your belt, why are you still there?
I'm still there because I'm loyal to St. V's. I've applied other places, and I could go other places, but I'm loyal to St. V's, and it's just unfortunate that loyalty doesn't count anymore. When I first started St. V's, it was a non-profit hospital. It was a family orientated, and then Tenet took over, and it became for-profit, and then all that went out the window. It was all about money. It was profit over patients, and it shouldn't be that way. Patients are the ones, if they didn't have the patients in the hospital wouldn't run. So you have to look at that factor. And then you have the nuts and the bolts, which is the healthcare workers, the transport, the housekeeping, the laundry, the surgical techs. Everyone is pulling together. It's a family group when we go up on the hill. But when we came down from the hill, and I know times change, but that didn't come with it. It became for profit, and all this is about the dollars. All the St. V's wants is at 100. When people come in every room and saying, we want 5 stars. Well, give them 5 stars help. Give them 5 stars quality. Give them 5 stars ratio. You want the 5 stars so you can get your money, so you can get your quota? Yeah, okay, well, I'm with that. But then give us what's adequate to us and give us what's to do. Tenet made $345 million, if I'm not correct, last year. And we didn't get a dime of that. The people in the lower didn't get anything. The shareholders got it, and St. Vincent's got it, but not the St. Vincent's workers. For COVID, when we were working there, no, I'm saying, no, honestly, we didn't get anything. They gave us some old candy from the store. Candy? That's what you give your workers who are out there working in the COVID. Expired candy. That's what you give us. Not even any type of bonus. Other places gave COVID relief, hazard pay. St. Vincent's, no. UMass, yes. St. Vincent's, no. CVS, yes. St. Vincent's, no. So why? And you're making billions of dollars. Billions.
So before we segue off of that question, I just want to. So you're being loyal to a corporation that's not being loyal to you?
Correct. I love my job.
That's weird, but okay.
I love my job.
Yeah, your job, but do you love that you can't do that job anywhere else? Like that's the only place where you can do that job?
You build a friendship, and you build with people who are there. You build a family. Like I've known Anita for these years, well over 10 years. Like, at my age now, it's just do you abandon your family because they're not doing right by you? Is that what you do? You don't.
Yes.
No, you don't.
Just kidding.
No, you don't. No, you don't. And there is an old saying that my father used to say, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. You might be getting paid more and the insurance might be more, but you don't know what else is happening in there because you don't know what you're walking into. And you don't want to risk that. You're comfortable with the people that you work with because we have a language between one another. We can solve problems together. we can work together with peacefully and contently. But the problem is not us, the workers that's working together. It's the management that we got, that they don't care about us. And if we don't stay and try to do the best we can for the patients that we get, a lot of times there's people that you know. And you taking care of this person to the best of your ability. But if the management don't help us to do our job to the utmost, there is so much you can do. So we have gotten to the point where we have to reach out to the community to let them know that it's not right what is going on, that we trying to hold up the front, but those that are in charge of the front line is not helping us hold up to the front.
And that's true. It's like at the end of the day, you know, you ask why do we stay? Because I generally do love my coworkers. Most of my coworkers that I look forward to. If they're having a bad day, they make something that'll keep me. Like, you just can't abandon somebody just because it doesn't work. Like, do I jump to another place just because it pays more money? Money doesn't always mean happiness. And that was what I found out. Like, at the end of the day, do I want to go somewhere else and start over and build that whole new reunion and family? No, I'm okay. I just wish the hospital would understand that they have devoted and dedicated workers, and they don't appreciate that.
Yeah, that was. I heard that saying from your dad. My dad used to always say, "I'll be back." No, just kidding. So I wanted to wrap this up and get on. So you're loyal to the ratio, right? You were saying that you currently, what is it, 23-1? You said is.
We don't have ratios. We don't have
What is your typical on any given day? What is your patient what's your patient load?
Right now, because we're short-handed, I'm usually have 11 to 12 patients a night to take care of.
And what's the appropriate number?
8.
So you're about 3 to 4 patients over,
Yes.
and that's significant, right?
Yes.
So if you're currently, it seems like this is it makes sense what you're saying about like the domino effect all across the board. Just to play angel's advocate, right? We need this to move, and you need to get tenant and management and corporation over at St. Vincent's to understand your value and worth. And so you kind of have to draw a line in the sand. In the meantime, that means less workers, right? Even less workers. That doesn't the patient to worker ratio even increase more while you're picketing and striking?
No, we're still going to work.
Okay.
We're still going to work. We're not saying that. Right now, we're doing informational picketing. And that means that we're out letting them know what's going on in there and what we're asking for. Because the hospital is putting it out that we're not bargaining, we're not coming, we're not negotiating with them. That's not true. I'm not sure if I can say it or not, but they offered us a quarter. And he wants to say, oh, no, it's not a quarter. We're offering you 75 cents. Well, okay, we were going to get 50 cents anyway, and then you put a quarter on top of that. So it still is a quarter, no matter how you cut it. But yeah, you say 75 cents. With that being said, he's saying, you should be happy with that. Like, these people are in Florida, some of them, and down south where cost of living must be a little bit less. How do you know what we should be happy with? Are you happy with that? Would you be happy with someone tossing you a quarter? I don't think so. When you know your worth is more than that. And I just think that they're taking advantage of the workers there because they know a lot of people are loyal. Like, they hear that we've been here 15 years, 27 years, we're not going anywhere, so we can kind of toss them whatever. And that's what the guy was basically saying about the contract. Well, our contract is up. It was up February 28th. So now we're out here informationally picketing because we don't have a contract. And the hospital is not willing to bargain with us on a new contract. That's what we need, a new contract with language changing. And they're telling us we like the language. We don't want to change the language. We're not interested in patient ratio. We're not interested in, because like we have people who, while we're short, is because they're only offering part-time. They have gone to discard their full-time 40-hour people and replace those 40-hour people with 2 part-time people where it works for them, because you will get those people, yeah, you'll have 24 hours. But you can work 40. So on the books, you will get the benefits of 24 hours, yet you will work us 40 hours, which is basically slave labor. And I will say slave labor because you're not treating the people who get 24 hours, they pay, what is it, 65% of their insurance? They pay 65% on the insurance, and the hospital pays 40. The person who's only working 24 hours will probably more than likely have to do overtime or work extra hours or get another job to meet their daily living expenses. And then they will accrue holiday, vacation, sick time, all at part-time hours. But yet they're working them full-time. And is that fair? No, the slave labor. Because basically, and when I asked him about that, his reply to me is, well, that's what flex means, that we're able to flex you up when we see fit. So they're basically just, and so some of my people might say, then why are you still there? Because I'm dedicated to this place, and I'm hoping there will be a change. Do you just leave somebody just because it doesn't work for you, or would you rather try and work it out so we can come to a compromise? I would hope after all these years that they will be willing to work with us. You have dedicated people there, dedicated nurses, dedicated PCAs, housekeepers, all the people who have been there for, look at the people, why don't they look at the people who have been there for over 10 years, even over 5 years? They're dedicated, knowing that they could go somewhere else.
Okay, we got about 5 minutes left, and I want to make sure that I'll have 3 questions. I'm going to ask them to you together, and just do your best to kind of speak to them just because you're kind of pressed for time. So, to wrap this up, this isn't just for those who didn't know. This isn't just the nurses out there striking. In the community, I'm not sure if you know, in the community, that's the way that it's being. That's the narrative that the nurses are striking. This is it's just the nurses though. It's not just the nurses. It's the entire hospital staff, and you're picketing and you're fighting for the rights and the appreciation and evaluation of all the staff.
Correct.
Including the nurses, but the ones being disproportionately impacted, which are the lower paid ones. The nurses are relatively, subjectively, comparatively paid better than the rest of it. Okay, so just being clear about that. It's the whole entire hospital staff, and the ones at the bottom are being disproportionately impacted. All right. So you mean PCAs?
POC.
Oh, people of color.
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out. Which more often than not happens to be people of color at the bottom, right? That's not by coincidence.
Exactly.
Okay, and so my question to you is this. You said that you've been going back and forth. You just came out of negotiations, what, yesterday or today?
We didn't negotiate until 9 o'clock last night. And
okay.
they flew in from Texas, right?
Okay, so you said that their response is, we like the language.
Correct.
They offered you a quarter, right? That seems incredibly disrespectful. What makes you think that these efforts are going to be successful? How are you defining the success? What would be a loss, and where is the line? Where do you say, okay, we've had it, and we're going to do something different? Just do you understand the question?
I understand the question. I don't know where the line.
Hold on a second.
We would hope that the companies, St. Fees, would come to the table with a fair contract. That's all we're asking for. And if they don't, I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know where we're going. Honestly, I don't know. And I don't think any of us know, but we're willing to stand strong on this, though. We have to make it. It's not just for us, it's for the people, it's for the community, for safe staffing, for the members. We have to.
How long you'll do this?
We don't.
So you could be doing this a year from now?
We could be. It could be doing it 2 years from now. We're going to do it until the hospital comes to the table with a decent contract.
As a little person right here, I'll get out the way. I'm fighting for y'all. A year you're going to wait for somebody to respect you? You're going to keep doing it for a year? Okay.
You have to start from somewhere. Back in the 60s, remember how it was for the black community. From there, they fought, they kicked, they bit, they screamed, and now we have a lot more privileges than our grandparents did back then. So why is it we can't do the same now? We have to show that we say union strong, and that's what we are, and that's what we continue to be, is being union strong for us and for the patients that we take care of, because they're included in this. They are the main purpose of all of this, because without us, there can't be no taking good care of mom, dad, grandma, uncle. They will get mediocre care from anyone that comes in, and they're working for minimum wage, and they are not interested in doing the job well done because they're not being paid properly. They're not working for their worth. And a lot of people will get that attitude after a while, been working for someone that don't show any interest in what you are doing to benefit their pockets, because they're the ones who's making the most money. They're the ones who making the profit. We don't see much of it at all, but we're the ones who keeping them afloat every single day.
It's sad. Like when you say, when are you going to say enough is enough and I'm moving on, or let's just throw in the towel? I don't think you could ever get to that point, because without getting emotional about it, I know there's days that myself and probably Anita too, I'm sure, that we just feel like we have to advocate for the patients as well. It's not just about us. It's the patient safety. Some days I'm so exhausted, and I'm like, did I forget to do something for Mrs. Jones? Did I take care of Mr. Parker? Did I do, like, it's exhausting. It is physically and mentally exhausting. So when do you give up and throw in the towel? I guess you can't. You can't, because there will always be people from the community coming to that hospital. Do you get to the point where you're insensitive and then you just go in there as nothing, like you just go in a robot and you don't have any emotions or feelings and you take care of somebody and over? No. 90% of us, if not 99% of us, and maybe that 1% who's just there for a paycheck, but 99% of us are dedicated to that place. We love our job. This is why we took the profession. So I don't see a point where you would say, enough is enough, I'm going somewhere else.
For people who watch this and feel what you're saying and want to support, how do they reach you or contact and support?
I feel like they should call St. V's and tell them. I think a good thing for the community to do is call St. V's and say, we're aware of what's going on, and do what's right. I mean, it's a community. It's a community hospital. You are bringing your loved ones there. Don't you want your loved ones to be safe? Don't you want your loved ones to have the proper attention? Not only just qualified nurses and PCAs, techs, resource, anyone who's their secretaries. You want them to have the adequate amount of attention to take care of your loved one, because you're not there. I know when my mother was in the hospital, I left her with people that I was hoping they would take care of her as if that was their own loved one. And that's what you want. How can someone do that if they don't have the proper ratio, the proper numbers, the proper staffing? It's just not right. So I hope the community reaches out to St. V's. And I'm not saying don't bring your family member there, but if you call St. V's. 508-363-5000. Ask to speak to Carolyn Jackson. And let them know that you're not happy with what's going on. That you're questionably bringing your family member. Is it going to be safe? Are they going to have the proper staffing?
Sorry, Ms. Jackson. I'm for real. Last words, Anita.
That was good.
Well, I just want to say that we are trying the best that we can do. We're going to keep the fight up. We work for the community, and I've had experiences when I've been out in the grocery store and individuals walk up to me and say, "Hi, how you doing?" And I look at this person like, "Oh, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?" And they go, "You don't remember me?" "No." And it's a patient that I took care of, and they appreciated the work that I did for them. And they did not forget me. And they came up to me and they said, "Thank you so much." And his wife was there and said, "This is the lady that took care of me." Those are rewarding feelings. Those is the things that bring happiness to your heart. Okay, and those one in a while things is worth the work that I'm doing. Is worth me standing outside in the cold for 3 hours to let the people know that we actually have been mistreated, and so are the patients that's coming into the hospital because they're not getting the proper care that they should. Not because we don't want to, it's because we are just one person doing the job of 2 and 3.
And we have
And we have a strong union, and we're going to keep on fighting. We're going to keep on going ahead, and we're just asking, and we will love the support of the community at this matter. And like what Lisa said, please call St. Vincent 508-363-5000 and ask for Carolyn Jackson, because she is the CEO and she needs to come to her senses and wake up and help and do right for the community and the people that work in St. Vincent. Thank you very much.
Once again, I'd like to thank Anita Ville, Lisa Jerry, the other frontline workers at St. Vincent's, the amazing people at Brew on the Grid, 56 Franklin Street.
What do you say about the nurses that are coming in that are considered
Oh, crossers, the with scabs. Yeah, the line crossers. Yeah, wait. Good question. Before we go, we need to talk about the line crossers. What's going to happen with the line crossers?
Well, from what I hear, my personal experience, I can't say anyone has been bad or good to me. My biggest concern for the community is the hospital saying that they're qualified. I'm assuming they are qualified because they graduated, but then some of them, not putting anybody's business out there, but can't work because their core isn't checked. So why wouldn't you do that first? Shout out to that. But also, like, they don't have the experience. These are a lot of new nurses just coming out of grad school. A lot of them don't have the experience. You can have somebody who graduated, but does that qualify them to work in the OR or to work in the critical care or ICU or medical floor, telemetry, or saying what qualifications do they have just because they graduated? You have nurses at that hospital who have been there 20, 30, 40 years who have the experience. Experience goes a long way, but in this case, they are just hiring new grads. Some of them queries haven't been checked yet, so they're in the hospital. I mean, like, do you really know these people? Like, it's different now because the nurses that was there, we, as the PCAs, it was a team effort. It was a bond. We don't have that with these new ones. They don't care to know us, and I'm not sure that we're there to help them. We're doing the best we can. Because the nurses who normally have these patients are not there, so we're being asked to do things that we normally wouldn't do. No fault of theirs, I'm sure, because they don't know what we can and can't do. They're just there. So they're just bodies that St. Vincent's is hired to do the work in place of our nurses out there striking for our patients' right and safety. Anita?
Well, like Lisa said, they have qualifications, but my thought about this is there's a lot of people that are what I call book smart. You can read a book, you can memorize it, and you can pass a test. But did you remember everything that you learned? You need to have common sense to do a nursing job. And if you don't have it, you're not going to be a good nurse. If you don't have the zen in you to do the job and you're just doing it for the money that they offered you, you're not going to do a good job. And honestly, a lot of those ladies, like Lisa said, I don't have anything against them because they're making their money, but they really are not doing a very good job at the job they were hired for. Some of them are very indifferent to the needs of the patients, and they expect us to do some of the things that they should be doing. And when you tell them, I cannot do that because I am not an RN, they give you this look like, oh, really? And I just said, I'm sorry, but I am not qualified to do that. That's your job because you are the RN, and that's what you were hired for. So that's the situation we are dealing with as PCAs in the hospital due to the fact that the nurses are on strike